biggest show with the biggest gentleman in town. And of course, some people are in very nice suits. Sijui kama wameoa juzi. Anyway, I'm your host, Charles Otieno, alongside the man with a brown, or is it a beige or what suit?
This one could even be green, depending on how you're looking at it.
Ulioa?
But I've been married all these years. You've never known I've been married.
To who?
All these years, to my wife.
Okay, you introduce yourself then.
Now you see, Bwana CEO, I missed the brief. Look at my jacket. This guy wants from China.
Amekuja na wedding.
Kabla aanze maneno.
But you see, I'm always on TV, so I have to dress. The demand can come anytime.
Anyway, it's allowed.
Introduce yourself.
So, my name is Ken Mijungu. The last time I was here could be 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
So thank you very much for inviting us. I still read news at times, and I work with KTN News.
KTN now.
Yes, KTN now, yes. Now I work with KTN.
Congratulations for
working with KTN.
For your new role, a bigger role. You become a bigger man.
Thank you. I'm always tall, Charles.
Man.
And a little bit big.
Wanyonyi tree.
My name is Wanyonyi Wambilianga. Been here, been hapa na kule. Mimi ni mtu ya magazeti.
Yes.
And yeah, we are here to discuss a few issues that I think matter.
Karibu sana Wanyonyi. I think, you know, nowadays Ken tries to tell us about many things like being on TV and the dress code and the suits and the watches. I think he plays in the same league with Sudi now.
Oh yeah, Sudi and Murkomen. Yeah. Mshipi unapendua pande hii na unaweka
inakuja zaidi.
But
you can see that is the beginning of a man's downfall.
Yeah.
Why?
And history is replete
with such characters.
Exactly.
No, but you know, modern companies, they give you two of the best sides.
Yes.
So you just change the buckle. You just change the buckle. You want to use the brown side.
Watch out. That's what some guy said the other day. Na ukaona kisirani
ilimfuata. Alisalimiwa.
No. I'm just saying, I don't have such a belt. I have one belt.
I have one you belt. Have a coat. You have a coat that is threatening the CEO.
Well-being of this.
Yes, they're threatening.
But you see, if you buy clothes from where I buy in Gikomba, Omosh will sell you shoes and this.
I doubt, man. You're wearing bolo besco.
But I'm the one who knows. I'm the one who knows.
So, gentlemen, let's dig into this big issue. President William Ruto, today in the morning, very early in the morning, decided to swear in new cabinet secretaries. Actually, plus the old one. All of them new, 21.
No, 8 are old.
Yeah. So what was your take? Let me start with Wanyonyi. When you look at the gentlemen and ladies who have taken the loans of State House to be sworn in very early in the morning in the chilly weather,
I think the men and women, the mix looks okay, looks good. There is the young, the women are there, the men, the old, the politicians, the technocrats. It's a good mix. But as to whether it will be different, kidogo, we are yet to see. Let's not judge them too harshly, too early. But I think the mix is okay. You could see the excitement among a few. So probably a bit of baby steps here and there, but we hope they can function or perform.
Ken,
yes.
This functionability Wanyonyi is talking about, you could see Joho smiling like from here to Timbuktu. And he's been in cabinet before.
But you know, Joho shot for the skies and missed, and he landed on the clouds. Remember, ODM wanted to give ODM lands minister. Mining is on land. Mining is on land. So ODM was to give him lands Azimio. Yeah. But then he's missed a little bit. Alice Wahome has retained that portfolio, but he's doing mining. Now he's going to be atakuwa na chimba migodi, right? But I want to comment over something that you have asked. Will it work this time round for the president? I think it's the greater picture is about ceding those responsibilities to the people you have entrusted. So if the president, in his estimation or guesstimation, because I saw the Standard say the rubber stamp, right? And other people say the laundromat, the biggest laundromat. And some other people say the skunk, you know. So in my opinion, the working or otherwise of the current cabinet will depend on how much space of operation they have been granted by the appointing authority. If the president has appointed people that he wants to control, it's not going to work. But if he has appointed people he has entrusted, like he said in his speech, make sure that you come here to work for the people, not for your own needs. If he really is committed to be the supervisor of the cabinet and allow them to make independent decisions and come up with policies that are implementable, that will work for this nation, then it will work. But if he's chosen people that he can call and say, hey, wait, watch hiyo, it's not going to work. So I think the workings or not will be based on the room that they will be granted by the president, and the president being a supervisor with demands that they have to meet.
But this president you're talking about before has always sworn in this, 2 years ago sworn the same cabinet secretaries on the same grounds, and he's the one who was telling them he knows more than they know in their ministries. In short, saying there, some of them are clueless.
Times have changed. The reason that occasioned what we are dealing with currently cannot be wished away. You cannot just say we are still in the old dispensation, so to say. Times have changed, priorities have changed. Kenyans are asking for accountability. Kenyans are more vigilant in terms of what they want and what they're looking out for. Kenyans are more aware. And we brought in a generation that did not care much about governance, but right now they're in the thick of things, and they'll be observing from the get-go. The smiles that Wanyonyi is speaking about, right? Ended at State House, and it should have ended at State House. When you got into your flagged vehicle,
yes.
I saw two of them, Justin Muturi and Ali Hassan Joho, if I'm not wrong. They've been given the new Land Cruisers. Those cars go for 20 million. Once you get out of State House, you go to your office, it's time to fold your sleeve, get down to work. Your smiles at Joho's Elisha State House, and it should have ended at State House.
Wanyonyi, you know, that smile at Joho, body language of the rest of those guys, were they eager to work, or were they just seated there hoping that the penny has dropped?
No, I think the crowd is willing to deliver, given their mandates, given their JDs. Some are simple, some are very complex. Like, I don't know how Mbadi will navigate these waters, given that their courts are there saying this finance bill is trash, this appropriations bill cannot be passed.
Yes.
So for them, for some, it is going to be very difficult. But then again, I think, because they say that the president calls his advisors to advise them on what to advise him. This time round, with these Gen Z shenanigans and the awareness that Kenyans have, the president needs to advise himself very well before he can advise his advisors. Last Ivio will be back to the streets, same problems, same issues, and you can see the way disruptive these situations can be. Because if Gen Zs go back to the streets, that means people will lose lives, we lose livelihoods, we waste a lot of time. When it's simple, the president needs to allow these people to work. But if he has to do the work, then let him advise himself on how to do it the best way he can deliver. If you look at his speech, he's made very many admissions and concessions. One, he says he's been poor at communication. But people are asking, okay, what is it that you have to communicate? Because there's nothing that you are doing that is worth communicating.
Yeah.
For example, people say we do not have street lights. You don't have to communicate. All you need to do is to put the street lights and switch on, and people will see, this guy works. But if there's no street light, however good your communication team is, there's nothing to communicate. So that was concession number one. Number two, the guy talks about civil servants who have breached. He actually quoted these guys, the lawyer, sections of the Katiba. He says actually chapters, chapter 6, chapter 10, and chapter 12, that in the manner, the way they conduct themselves is not the way a public officer should, and this is what led to ABCD and a lot of razzmatazz. But have we seen him act on anything or on anyone? Nothing. So if the president were to take these public servants he thinks have breached the constitution to court, it is not even for him to communicate. We'll just carry the stories and everyone will know that this guy is acting. So on the one hand, the guy seems to be admitting, we have problems, we have this, we have that. On the other, you doubt if there is any change in terms of the modus operandi going into this new dispensation. So if the president does not advise himself well to advise his advisors, then the bollocks. Hakuna kitu.
Someone once told me talk is cheap, right?
Yes.
It's very easy to say whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the president's talk is cheap, but it has to be accompanied by real action.
Yeah.
It has to. That is the only way it's going to succeed. I remember just the other day Wanyonyi and the president said, sasa simeona nimeleta kila mtu kwa serikali. Sasa mimi si Zakayo, sasa tushuke sisi wote.
Zakayo wote.
That is what the president is doing. Trying to pass responsibility to all these people so that Kenyans united will not look at the president, will look at the new team. Let me tell you why what Wanyonyi is saying is true. Have we addressed the fundamental reasons why Kenya changed for the better? That is the first question, underlying question that everyone has to ask themselves tonight. With what the president has done, all these concessions before today, doing away with the finance bill, right?
Yes.
Firing the cabinet.
CSS.
Now we understand he's going to do that also with the PSS.
Yes.
The steps he's taken, bringing in the opposition in government, are these the underlying problems that needed to be addressed? Is this addressing the issue of unemployment?
No.
Is it? Is appointing these people addressing that problem? Is this addressing the high cost of living and the pain in your pocket? The answer is no. So what has he done? He has patched. He has put a patch over a crack. Will it hold together? Time will tell, among other things that will tell. So what Wanyonyi is saying is absolutely true. If they don't get down to work to make a difference, we will be where we were before they started. And that time round, it will be different, because then people would have learned that band-aid doesn't work. It only covers the wound, but doesn't heal the wound. There has to be medicine. Has the president injected that medicine to that wound? If it hasn't happened, believe me, it's not going to help.
And you see, the stopgap measure this time around is Tinga and his men. What will happen 6 months later when Tinga and his men and Ruto and Zakayo have all flopped?
Yeah.
Who will he resort to?
Who do you turn to?
Kalonzo is neither here nor there. Maybe he'll be consulted.
Why are you dismissing Kalonzo
I've
like
not
that?
dismissed him.
But you just say neither here nor there.
Because we know his history.
What are you saying?
Kalonzo this
What are
way,
you saying?
Kalonzo that way,
What are
Kalonzo
you
no way. No, but on a serious note,
Yes.
if Ruto thought that let's just do this thing for the cameras, let's bring in Tinga to stop this,
Pacify the Gen
pacify the Gen Zs, and then we continue the same way we are, I tell you,
Shock
it is
on
going
them.
to be problematic. But it's crazy because the other day he announced austerity measures, that including his intelligence budget, I don't know what. A week later, the CBK is ordering fine whiskey for, is it Kenya School of what? Monetary Studies.
Yeah.
You attender for the finest of things. I think the men who wear these things will probably know the brands.
No. I'm sure the men who drink these things will
No. Mweupe kama pamba. So
we can only smell them
it
from
flies
afar.
in the face of this thing. So the
Yes.
president announces this today, and tomorrow you see something different.
Yeah.
Going forward, it has to be very different. Otherwise, we'll waste 5 years, nothing will be delivered, and then back to elections.
I don't. What do you mean we'll waste 5 years? This country, Wanyonyi, work for 2 years. First year we settle after election. Then we hope second and third year
We'll work.
we work.
Yeah.
Then the fourth year we get into the campaign mode. So we don't work for 2 years. We work for only 2 years. I mean, we've wasted how many years? We are into the third. So when you say 5 years wasted, we are gone, man. There's no turning back.
Actually, this
We are gone.
administration is halfway through its term.
Yes.
No, it's halfway through.
Midterm.
And can you point to anything significant or
We
anything
need to do a record.
life changing that they've done for the country?
A scorecard for them, actually.
Yes.
We need to do a
You see,
scorecard.
like
A
that,
midterm scorecard.
this subsidized fertilizer thing was very good because the ordinary fertilizer was too expensive. They brought in very fine stuff. Lo and behold, Russia donates fertilizer. Ile was announced in Russia is not what was delivered at KPA. Kidogo, there is muchanga in fertilizer. Total scam. So what happened to that program? I'm sure this year's harvest is going to be significantly lower than last year's.
60
Not
million
because
bags,
of
40 million bags.
not because
probably
of
30.
rains or anything,
Yeah.
because of these bloody fertilizer.
Scamming.
Yeah, and this is government. So when government does not function, it will be chaos. So let us hope and pray. Much as we waste 3, let us hope and pray. At least we can salvage 1
Where will-
of the 2.5.
And
It
this
could
one,
only
where
be-
will you
it
get
could-
this one
it could-
from?
Yes,
Ken?
it could only be between now
Yeah.
and the next year.
And next year.
And end of next year. After that, no. My friend, these guys are starting to look for money for campaigns. They're starting to fix things that were going wrong.
Because you see,
passive.
the
But-
2024-2025 financial year, I think, is going to be very chaotic. For the simple reason we do not have a finance bill.
You know,
The budget this guy did, he did with very large projections in his head.
Yeah.
Now he needs to rework the budget.
That's why he said zero
and
budgeting.
everything.
Yes. So now with these kind of problems, and then here we have an opposition guy as the treasury CS.
yeah.
I don't know how this year is going to be.
And but
But we hope and pray that things will work out. I'm a Christian. I go to church. And
Which
I
church do you
believe.
go to?
I go to
Which
Redeemed
one?
Gospel Church.
Bro, hope has never
Which
been.
Redeemed
one?
Gospel Church,
Hope
Baba.
has never been. Hope has
Hope,
never
we don't
been a
eat hope.
strategy. Hope has
No,
never been a strategy.
but I mean, it keeps you going. It prepares you for tomorrow, for a better tomorrow,
for an
for a
acceptance.
better tomorrow. So let us hope and pray.
Acceptance.
But you
Acceptance.
see, when you're saying these guys are not delivering, and Ken, remember, if you look at your deputy president, he's buying hotels all over. The
I
people,
have no evidence.
oh,
Yes.
you
No, it is actually in the papers today. The guy runs 5 grand hotels.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you see,
The
directed
latest
this-
one is Treetops.
He directed this to me like I'm holding the evidence.
You know, the problem with dealing with lawyers in a podcast is that they always think that the guy, the DP will be his
There
client.
is a catch to the
Oh.
question.
No, not really. I mean, but I don't have evidence. Proceed.
Now, yes, and this hope, we cannot deliver fertilizer to the people, yet you can afford to buy all these things for yourself.
You know what?
You don't have money to deliver for Mwananchi the cost of living to bring it down. Yet the people in government, like Hindiki, has grown his wealth by 150 million
Yes.
in 1 year.
Yeah.
Murkomen the same. What are they doing?
That is the biggest elephant in the room. When the economy went down to an extent that Kenyans came out to the streets
Yeah.
to protest, no jobs, high cost of living, heavy taxes. I mean, all Kenyans, save for the first cabinet, because I'm sure the story is replicated. I mean, when you're doing sampling, you only need to take 1 or 2. If most of them grew their wealth twice or 1.5 times over, it means it's replicated across all the ministries. Now you tell me, what is this business that these politicians who are paid 1 million, 1.3 million shillings? Don't tell me that in the last 5 years, your properties were not generating money until you became a CS. Don't tell me that suddenly your shamba is generating enough income. Don't tell me that suddenly your law firm, which was not doing any better, is suddenly having clients and you're making money. Don't tell us that the increase in your wealth portfolio has been occasioned by factors that are not within your control as a cabinet secretary. No, you're lying to us. What have you been doing for the last 2 years? That averagely you do 75 million shillings a year. What is it that you planted and now you're reaping? Which companies have you built in 2 years and employed? What is this that these guys have been doing so that their wealth have grown? The least growth I saw was about by half, right? What have you been doing? All of them more than doubled their wealth. What have these people been doing? Yet, in the same period that all of them, their wealth grew, Kenyans went to the streets complaining about high taxes, high cost of living, high unemployment. So what have they been doing? Where's this money from?
I'm a believer
Not again.
in wealth creation.
Not again.
I believe that a man or a woman should
Yes.
make money, should grow their portfolios, and so I'm very happy and glad that these fellows actually managed to grow their wealth.
Miraculously.
Not miraculously. I'm sure when you sit them down, they can break it down for you, hopefully. I think it was the Treasury. I'm not sure if it was the PS or CS or the CBK guy who said that our economy grew by, I think, is it 5.7%? So ordinarily, in layman's terms, is that even your wealth should have grown by that margin. 5.7 whatever percent. Some of these guys have done theirs 100%, 50%, 70%, which means they know the areas to invest in, which probably us, we do not know, or they have capital. They have capital that we do not have. Sit them down and discuss.
Wanyonyi,
Now,
we know how
the
capital
fundamental
gains
question
work.
is this.
Yes.
How comes these fellas grew their wealth by so many whatevers, but the economy looks like it is struggling, it is having problems? Why can't they turn their business acumen, their expertise in whatever they do to run this economy, so that we can say Kenya's economy was at so much GDP, it has grown 70-30% in a year. But of course, those are pink, oranges, and apples.
Let me ask Wanyonyi.
in terms of
Wanyonyi,
comparisons.
when the inflation rate is at 6%, right? And you say the economy grew by 5.7%. I mean, the inflation rate alone should have wiped that growth.
No, not necessarily. Because when they say that if it is a single-digit inflation rate, then that is good for everyone. Because inflation has to be there. When it's double-digit, it's when now it starts eating into whatever little thing that you've managed to do. So the country, I think, brought down its inflation rate. It was, I think, at some time at a high of around 11 when Uhuru was exiting. And then it came down to 8. I think it's now at 6, between 6 and 7, with some percentage, which is a good thing, which shows the economy actually is growing. But now the catch is this. Even this inflation rate, we are told that was the formula to arrive at this inflation was recalibrated, such that ile kitu yenye inaangusha ratili pande hii inawekwa hivi na tunakuwa draw. So I don't know, it may be true. It could be a real measure. It could also be politics, because you see in this part of the world everyone pretends to be a mjuaji. But I believe in wealth creation. If these guys made legit money, it's okay. But that guy who said that he had bought land and it was lying idle and it grew by 30%, Has Consult did a survey, I think 2-3 weeks ago. And the highest percentage point of growth in land, I think, was 2.5 or 2.7.
Exactly. And for specific areas.
And this was, I think, in Spring Valley. Exactly. In some areas like Upper Hill, it's stagnated.
No growth.
Eastlands, I think it even dipped.
It went down.
What was a million probably is now 900.
Yes.
Yeah. So kipiga msasa mzuri, there is more to it than what they are saying.
My question,
but let us celebrate wealth creation.
My question
we are
is,
celebrating
we celebrate.
wealth.
My question is, suddenly you had ideas, and I like what you say. Why don't we apply what you used to grow your wealth in managing this country so that everyone grows, right? But my question, Wanyonyi, is suddenly you 2 years into the government, and then you realize you have ideas to make it work for you. I mean,
that's why I was saying probably there is more to it than what we're being told.
Exactly. That's why the president once said Kenya is of.
but that's why the question is then, if you look at the way Wanyonyi has interrogated that point, that committee which was trying to interrogate them, was it just a rubber stamp? Because there's nothing. Joho walked in, couldn't even tell us what he's actually worth. He has to ask for, you don't even know how much you're worth. You have to ask someone to bring you there. Ebu leta nione ni ngapi? Shilingi ngapi?
Drama.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, we lost Parliament kitambo sana. I mean, we have had this discussion before, and we all agree that we don't have a Parliament. And on their own admission, they were bribed. We don't have a Parliament there. On the Deputy President's admission, that don't lynch them. They are told what to do. We have a problem there. On their own act at State House, when the President withdrew a bill that they had passed less than 24 hours before then, and they were behind clapping, we don't have a Parliament. By extension, that committee on appointment is Parliament. They do it on behalf of Parliament. Well, there are people, and I could mention a few, like everyone was watching, and you'd see how they were asking questions, probing questions. People were pampering them. I had a question from the majority leader, a leading question that was asked to Interior Cabinet Secretary, Professor Kithure Kindiki, about crowd control. How do you ask someone who has been accused of presiding over police brutality that would you think that now there could be a suggestion that protest could be designated a point that they just go and protest, they don't have to occupy? You asking a leading question to draft a narrative, because that is what is going to happen. Soon we'll be told you can only protest at Uhuru Park, or we designate Jacaranda grounds. You will not come to town. Well, the mischief they want to address is good, but have they looked at what the Constitution says? If I want to present my petition, because that Article 37 talks about you are to present a petition, where will I be presenting the petition? Or when you tell me to take a sample, at you are 2 million, but let's get only 20 to come in and go and meet the CS. What criteria? It goes against the Constitution. And remember, all these laws that are enacted and ride on the Constitution, when they're inconsistent with the Constitution, what happens to them? The Constitution becomes free. Exactly. So that is what I'm saying. These guys, they decided to go there, and they had to give Ruto his new appointees. Remember now, the majority side and the minority side had settled. And now they are on one side. It will be interesting, and I'd like Wanyonyi to talk about this. How Junet is going to behave in Parliament as the minority leader. I can't imagine.
Don't picture him.
I can't imagine how Junet as a minority leader. Ishungwa speaks, Junet stands.
Against.
I'm wondering.
I think now that you brought in Junet, that will be number 4 item. I had 3 issues with these actually MPs. Number 1, when Justin Muturi walked into the vetting panel, Wetangula was the first to say, this guy was my classmate at the University of Nairobi. And they clarified it is the University of Nairobi, not Nairobi University, and some camaraderie. And you're like, okay, you were the one who's supposed to ask me a question. Probably this guy even beat you in class. Yes. Or I don't know, things to do with classmates. Yes. Number 2, when Parliament finished with the vetting, they gave out a report. If you look for who are to sit in that committee, there was one Opiyo and I, who was supposed to be on the committee as a minority leader.
Yes.
But here he walks in as a guy who's to be interviewed. And who's supposed to interview him? The guy who's supposed to come take over his seat, Junet Mohammed, and the rest. Yeah. Number 3, when they finished with the report, they presented it to Parliament. Parliament debated and passed the 19, left out Soy. Then invited these 2 guys to walk in. That is Mbadi and Wandai. And you could see these guys walked in like the gladiators in some Greek arena, high-fiving people and like the heroes. And these are the people who are supposed to have vetted and say that, hey, chief, you're not qualified.
And they'll offer
because of
oversight
this,
over you.
Let's kick you out.
Yeah.
And these are the same guys who are supposed to ask you questions in their committees after you've taken over office.
Yeah.
So rubber stamp, I think it's even a very polite word.
Number 4.
Now, number 4, Junet Mohammed. Junet was, we went to the same school. Of course, he's much senior. But once you go through Lenana School, I think you're grounded on gentility, on intellect, behavior. So I think the guy will deliver. The only problem with him is this sycophancy with Raila. At some point, we were being told he sleeps on Raila's sofa in the sitting room, just to see who will come in and who is going out. If he trims that kind of sycophancy, I think he can deliver. He's been around for some time.
Yeah, 3 times.
Yeah, 3 times. That's he's not a
He's my MP.
Yeah. You see, you voted for the guy because of these other many issues.
I voted in Embakasi. But he's my
so
MP
I think he'll deliver. Look at Millie Odhiambo. Millie Odhiambo has been persistent in her course.
Yeah.
And as a whip, I think she can work.
She's ranking.
The only problem with these people is if they are subservient to whoever sent them.
Powers that be.
If Junet and Millie just listen to what Chinga says, then there is no vetting, there is no oversight. Nothing will happen in Bunge. The same way, what Kina Ishungwa were doing until things ikaumana. So if you listen to the big man huko juu, then definitely hapa chini utaharibu.
You know, when you're talking and then Ken tells us that that gentleman, Junet, is his MP, and I'm wondering, in Migori we have only 4 people from Migori in this city. So I don't know the remaining 3.
Tell us the other 2.
Yeah. No. Actually, I'm Suba. So we are endangered. In this town we are 4.
See, I'm confirming.
We are 4 Subas. So I'm the first Suba among all of them. Then we welcomed Mbadi.
Yes.
Then we have Millie.
Yes.
And we are torn between Brian Weke and Silas Jakakimba.
Those are the only
Subas in this town.
Mumekwisha.
So we are torn between Silas Jakakimba and Brian Weke.
Who can come?
Who is the other Suba?
I'm telling you.
You're done.
So, Ken, you know this Gen Z protest. Let's get to these Gen Z people. Today, your hometown, Migori, was very polite and quiet. And
What did you want them to do on their circle?
No, but you are standing for something.
No. But they're in government. What do you want Migori to do? We passed it to Siaya. Siaya can go ahead now and take the badge of protest.
So, you're not protesting anymore?
But the thing is, the people of Migori traditionally have thrown their weight behind Raila Odinga.
Yeah.
You remember there's a time, Homa Bay County,
Yes.
election 2017, it's the only county that did not vote in that election, repeat election. Just standing in solidarity with the Raila Odinga. Migori County, we had a few people sneaking in to leadership with the other parties.
Yes.
Homa Bay voted ODM top to bottom, MCA and everything. There was no opposition. There was no minority side in Homa Bay County. Migori had a minority side, right? Then these are people, the people who say that Baba Mesoma, we don't need to read. Baba Metusomea. So anything that is happens to Baba, they embrace it. Any position that Baba takes is what Buddy was talking about. Any position, and Peter Kaluma, any position that Baba adopts, they adopt. Now, my biggest question is that the people who are in the front line vilifying Baba and trying to hive off a big section of his constituency, what are they going to do? Because some of them are not in the ministry anymore. Owalo Eliud, for example. What is going to happen to those people? My other MP, Uriri MP, Nyamita, for example, who went ahead of Raila Odinga. What happens to Nyamita now on the ground? Jalas, Tomo, what happens to these people? That's the big question. They went ahead. Yes, they went ahead. Now, Raila has joined them, and Raila now is sleeping in the master bedroom at State House. What happens to them?
I think those ones were discarded as fast as they came. My good friend Akuba is nowhere to be seen.
I don't think they've been discarded because the fact that you're sleeping in the kitchen and our guy is in the master bedroom, at least you're in the house. Both of you are in the house.
Yes.
Maybe not as comfortable as his our guy, but you're in there.
And it
will be very easy for him to come and say, mzee pole sana. Tulikuwa tunatengeneza njia. Yeah, because you saw the other day the story that was being done. Actually, a guy who was behind the scenes is Raphael Tuju, who did it. I mean, no one saw him anywhere near this thing, but they've been working huko chini chini. So it would be very easy for Jalas to say, hata mimi, I was trying to fix some bolts and nuts up.
Sudi style.
Yeah. So when nisamee, let me go back to Langata na baba aseme nimetosha.
There was a burial.
So I think they'll still have a small lifeline now that they're both eating from the same, at least sufuria, maybe not plate.
Yeah. There was a burial that Jalas attended, and Baba was there.
Eric Omondi's brother, Ferrer.
Yes. And you see, the crowd was very hostile. He came in driving, he left in Baba's chopper. So I agree with you. But my question is, they were there first. And suddenly, no one talks about them anymore.
You had Junet the other day saying that Raila's school of politics is the best. All these guys are his children. And Tinga knows how to maneuver, how to outwit. He's beaten even the professor of politics, the one self-acclaimed. So on this one, I think, give and take, the guys who thought that since these guys have gone to the other side now, it's we are having a field day, either as Kisumu Senator,
as the replacement.
Someone who thought he could replace them, they need to rethink their strategy, because now things are a bit
shaky on the ground.
Yes.
But I like what you're talking about, because then the politics of 2027 will totally change. People will not be voted on the basis of affiliation. That is gone. On the basis of who you know and who gave you the ticket.
Yeah.
Yes, who gave you the ticket. So I think it will be interesting. So even the guys who went ahead, for example, Jalas, our friend, we had already said Jalas is done.
One term.
But now, you are not sure if he's one term or not. Remember, he has the support of the president. That is his friend. And now Baba is with the president, whether we want it or not. Now they can no longer vilify Jalango on the basis of not standing with his political parties that sponsored him to parliament. So what happens in 2027? I mean, his opposer must be solid. Otherwise, he'll walk through.
And you see, one thing you have to credit Ruto with is that he does not forget his friends. Definitely, he'll put in a good word for one or two of these guys. Maybe another 3 or 4 will fall by the wayside. But you can expect 1 or 2 guys will still be around for some time. But now you are talking about Gen Zs and what he has said about 2027. 2027 will be determined by delivery. Not promises, not tribe, not even party affiliation. Someone that people think or believe can deliver will have an easier ride in the next election than a guy who's been around for all these years and has failed to do anything. Now, about these demonstrations, I think there is like a saying, I think this must be, it's not English, probably it's more of Islands, that you come like thunder. These Gen Zs came like thunder, but left not with a bang, but a whimper. Because...
Wanyonyi, I don't know where you live. I don't know you. You are not my friend. I just met you here. I don't know
because you. Because what these guys did the last, say, 2 months, no one had ever thought could be done. Yes. Even Tinga has never breached parliament. In the many years he's been demonstrating. These kids came and did things that were unimaginable. They made the president not sign the finance bill. That was number one. The cabinet had to go. I mean, they were forcing this guy to his knees, actually, literally. Then all of a sudden, la 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 la, saba saba, it turned out to be a music concert. Nane nane, apart from the roads that are vacant, there is nothing.
Apart from the holiday they've granted Kenyans.
Yeah, Kenyans actually have had an extra holiday that actually is just eating into their pockets, into their careers, into their opportunities.
And time is gone.
Yeah. So the Gen Zs, but that is the problem when they insisted that they are going to be leaderless, they are going to be faceless, they are going to be less and less, and
someone grabbed that opportunity.
Yeah. That is the product. But then again, of course, Tinga moving to this other side, you had that guy on Kamukunji ground saying, now that Tinga has moved, hakuna maandamano. So that's where
of Jacaranda.
The Jacaranda crowd. Yeah, not Kamukunji, sorry.
But
what's your take?
Give it to the president on this and his strategies. They worked for him. His strategy was to come to their level and pretend to be one of them and to listen to them. First, he gave a media interview, which to me worked a little bit, but exposed a lot of things that we didn't know about how he felt, because most of it took away that the questions we had on how does he feel about what has happened, people have been killed. So he displayed it before the cameras. And at that point, people said his actions, his responses would either add salt to the injury or pacify. Then, because it didn't work so much, he decided to go to their space, the X space. They said they'll not join. Oh, nini. People joined X space. Then he went out and dismissed them again. Nilikuja huko akakimbia. People said again.
Actually, the guy who hosted that space was actually one of them.
Yeah, one of them. And people said, no. Kwanza imeongeza tena anga. Next time, people are not on the street. Then he decided again, apart from just going to the express, let me just do another town hall. Then he became bold and he said, I'll transverse this country. He went to Narok. He sneaked into a church in Narok or Kilgoris, whichever. Kidogo unamuona huku, kidogo unamuona, but he avoided Eldoret to entirely Rift Valley. So it worked for him. Then he fired Kome and brought in acting, quickly transitioned him and put another acting so that they don't take responsibility. People went to court and they said excess use of force will not be tolerated. The strategy was to meet these young people with so much force that these are buddies. They like soft life. They don't like to have scars. So the police, unfortunately, brutalized people, killed people. Then they feared. So what happened going forward is they started resenting anyone who would tell them to go to the street. And a few ringleaders who are celebrities. Today, if a celebrity goes to the street and asks a few people to follow, they'll follow. So they took off a few of them who are very bold and left Samuel only on the street, right? All of them, this guy who sells cars, left the street. A few of them changed their body language and their speech on social media. They started bullying Boni. So what happened is they realized there's a gap here. Let's fill it with the police. So the police, like today, Nane, which they touted as the mother of all protests, could not even allow the three of us to sit here. So they see two people, it's dismantled. Yes. Two people, they dismantled that unholy alliance. So the way the president succeeded in ensuring no one comes to the street is that scare, being so brutal, the police being so brutal. They'll promise on one side of the lip and then on the other side tell them, you go to the street and make sure there's no one who's gathering. So these guys feared and they're not coming out. But the real protest is not happening on the street. The real protest is happening online. It's happening with what people are saying. It's happening when they give holidays. Because now if they say we are going to protest, no one is going to open their business. And the message this is sending outside the country is more important than how settled people are in. Because now the international community begin to ask, what are these we are reading online? You see, the US came out strongly yesterday and condemned brutality because they thought it will happen again. What they didn't think about is if people will come or will not come. But ultimately, it's worked for them, that they've managed to get people off the street, but they are still protesting online and they're still protesting internationally. And what they're saying matters most because that inspires confidence of the investors, inspires confidence of the tourists, inspires confidence on people who are looking up to Kenya for solutions, right? So I think they have succeeded. But the question is, what he was saying, will they deliver for Kenyans such that Kenyans will be so satisfied with the new set of changes that they will not have to go to the street? Because if something happens that triggers this group again, they'll put down everything and go back to the street. And that time, there will be no way they'll salvage. Because then, the person who's come as a band-aid yet again to this president, Raila Odinga, is not available anymore because he's already in.
So, and you're saying, Ken...
But Kalonzo is available.
But you just dismissed Kalonzo.
You know, you are saying that these Gen Zs are in their soft
they like
boy
the
era.
Yeah.
And soft girl era. But they stood very strong. There are some guys there I like, the Hanifas, the Shakira.
Hanifa is not Gen Z though.
Shakira Wafula is not Gen Z.
Shakira could be.
Hanifa is probably closer to the Gen Zs than yourself. And I think the fact that these young men and women stood to police brutality, to bad governance, to corruption, is something that is worth taking note of. If we had what the Times call the person of the year, I think the Gen Zs deserve that accolade.
They
surely do, because they have tilted the politics, and they need to be very consistent in those spaces that Ken has talked about, so that there is no let up until the election or until the next person fails in his duties, so that they say, we need this guy out. If you don't take him out, we march to State House. Ruto must go. Nani must go, nini. They need to maintain that heat until the time we have good governance.
But don't you think, Charles, the other question that could have led to what's happening is if Ruto goes, what happens? You know, that was also a very scary issue. Yes.
Now, that is where I was parting ways with these Gen Zs, because I believed in their cause. I mean, who disputes bad governance? But now, who takes over? Yeah. Look at Bangladesh. Bangladesh kicked out the prime minister. In fact, there was a guy who was
swimming laying
prostrate on her bed. Yeah. I was wondering, these can get this serious. Yeah. The woman left, flew to, I think, India.
Yeah.
The next thing, the army has taken over. But the police said they are going on strike, or I think they just decided not to work. What happened? These same Gen Zs were in town trying to manage traffic. I mean, with our kind of criminal
elements,
you can guess if you do away with the police, even for 2 hours or 3 or a day, it will be total chaos. In Bangladesh, they picked the Nobel called Yunus or something like that, to be the chief advisor to the interim government. They formed, I think, a committee. They're insisting on elections in 3 months, and they have a bit of order. For us, You ask, I was listening to Kasamuel on one of these channels, and he was asked, okay, if Ruto goes, what happens? We'll cross the bridge when we get there. If Ruto goes, we'll think about it after he's left.
How?
That thought is scary because with a vacuum in such anyone can take advantage. If we get a rogue military guy to occupy that space, what happens? Do we become a military state? Straight up. We do not have an IEBC whom we can say we can have an election after 2-3 months.
Mutauma kipande, my friend.
Yeah. So that element, and that is what I was talking about, when they decided to be leaderless, faceless, and those lessless things, that is what did the
less thing?
Because to them everything was this less. That aspect of not thinking of, okay, fine, we kick out this guy, then what do we do?
What happens?
That thought was scary.
Yeah. It was. I think it was.
It is
not
scary,
only
actually.
to them, but
Even to
even
us.
I think even to us, it was very scary that if they manage to push out the president, what happens? I think there's one of the who was it who said he'd rather we have bad governance than no government at all. Someone said it, and I think it was profound. It was it was a profound statement.
Because all of a sudden, Weta was coming from Weta the 3rd to Weta the 5th, Mara Weta the 6th. And this guy said, Apana, even Parliament needs to go.
Yes.
So the executive goes, Parliament goes.
Constitution suspended.
Constitution suspended. Then what happens?
What happens?
Gentlemen, I think you've captured it very well. I want the last words, wise words, Wanyonyi. Nasi less bwana, you less more.
No. We are looking forward to this government. We anticipate that it will be good given the pressures that we've had. We are hoping the demos have, let's not wish them away, but we hope when they come next, it will be because of something legit, an issue that deserves that kind of a drive. But yeah, I wish the cabinet well. Eric Muridi actually is also a Lenana School alumni. So we are there. And we are going to perform. We are going to show the difference.
They fired my only cabinet minister from our school.
You see, your school does not provide leadership.
Yeah.
The only problem is also Sakaja. Sakaja is also a Lenana School alumni, but he's having problems.
Mr. Dimples.
Come on. That's the governor.
Ken,
I don't know. Currently, one of the best performing members of parliament is also from the only school. It's the only school. It's the only school that is Maseno School. That's Anthony Kimagendi. So he's doing really well. Anyway, my parting shot is this. Kenya has changed, and Kenya seems to have changed for the better.
Yeah.
There's a more responsive government. People are more responsive. And I think accountability for the first time, we are getting to the levels that we could have achieved back in 2002 with Mwai Kibaki. If we maintain that tempo, Kenya will be a better place. I tweeted today, after the cabinet had been sworn in, that they should not use the flag to harass us with big cars on the road. They should use that flag to work for Kenyans. And I think that's why I stop. Let them take this opportunity to show Kenyans that they were not another mistake. They are not there to ensure that President Ruto's administration goes on until 2025, but 2027. But they are there because they are determined to change this country. The way the politics has changed, the governance needs to change. And at the end of the day, we are Kenyan. Kenya is our business. If this country succeeds, we all succeed. If we all have money in our pockets, we are all happy and Kenya moves forward. But if others are succeeding, in a year they've increased their wealth by 150%, and in the last year we have gone broke, I mean, it's not working for us. So mine is go there, fold your sleeves, get ready to dirty your hands, forget about patronage, forget about what do we call it, pledging allegiance. Go there and work for Kenyans. And we are watching. We are watching through our lenses, through our eyes also, and our ears are on the ground.
We hope that they'll deliver. And even Wanyonyi they will go with Wanyonyi's hope. Wanyonyi is a hopeful man and he believes in wealth and hope. Yeah. So we'll
create wealth.
Thank you, gentlemen, for showing up. I don't know whether we had comments or something. Tony, our producer, or anything.
Asante sana.
Asante sana.
Okay.